big deal. That's always went with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland.
My defense, because I am such a part of it. I mean, I obviously I'm going to bear the consequences, so why not bear the responsibility?
Okay, sir, is she still alive?
You're alive.
When was the last time you saw her?
Mama, I killed Dean.
Brian?
Ma'am?
What are you doing?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back for another week.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's very gloomy here in LA today.
It's crazy. Like, we'll go like, oh, it's really warm. And then now it's really gloomy and cold and rainy.
Hence the reason we are in our pajamas.
Yeah. And plus because we're being lazy.
Yes. It's a
So-
very lazy day here.
Yeah, it is.
And this weather makes me so tired.
I just want to lay in bed. That's exactly
Yeah.
where Gina found me when she came
Yeah.
over.
And that's exactly where I came from. Like, I walked in and I was like, oh my God, that's literally where I just came from.
Yeah. I'm
And
like,
that's
oh.
what I'm going to go back home and do.
I was just sitting there. I just had the cats around me and I'm like, you just took a glimpse into the future of what it's going to be like. I'm going to be like an old cat lady just sitting on my bed.
Well, I'm not going to be. I am.
I am,
Minus
well,
the
yeah.
cats, like just dogs. But yeah,
You're the dog lady. I'm the cat lady.
Yeah, I've just had a on the weekends, I think, especially since I've been working out so much, when it comes like Saturday and Sunday, I am exhausted. Like, I'm
Well, you go 5 days a week.
Tired. Yeah, like I'm sure you feel the same working two jobs. Like,
Oh, yeah. But
when you don't get a day off though. She works 7 days a week, so.
But you motivated me.
I know.
I know. I called her and
so
I said, you know
excited.
what? I'm reigniting my membership at Orange Theory. So here we go. They get to see me again. Struggle. I'm going to be on the struggle bus.
Oh Lord, you don't even know struggle. I've come a long way in a short 13 weeks. Trust me, because I was on that bus.
Yeah.
I still am at times too.
It's hard. It's
It is.
hard
Working
getting
out's
back up.
hard, man. Working out is very, very hard, but
I know.
I'm happy though. I'm
No,
proud
I
of
mean,
myself for
It's
doing it.
you just got to get up and get out there and do it. So
You do it early in the morning though.
I do. I try to get it done as soon as I wake up. So I'll go from 5 to 6 and then I get to take a shower. And
The
then
reason that this shows my laziness. I don't like working out like that in the morning because when I get done working out after work, I go after work because I start work very, very early in the morning. So like my gym's not even open at that time. Like I'd have to start exercising at 2 a.m. But I like to work out. I go home, I take a shower, I eat dinner, and I throw myself in bed and I do not get up. That has been my routine.
yeah,
And like after you work out and take a shower, it's just like, I just want to sleep.
it feels nice.
Yeah.
See, mine's the opposite. It gives me a lot of energy after I work out. So then I get to burn it during the day. But I
Yeah.
get it. I mean, it's hard to work a whole day and then get myself to the gym.
No, it's hard. Trust me. Getting me
Yeah.
there is no easy feat. Trust me.
Especially if you're at home to change. I'm like,
Oh no, I go straight from work. My car does not even take me home.
Yeah,
I
that would
literally
be
go
better.
from work. I pack my gym bag and I go straight to the gym.
That's
if
the
I
only
go
way.
home, there will be no getting me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah.
I guess it's a struggle whether you work out in the morning or
Yeah.
nighttime.
It doesn't matter.
There's a struggle regardless,
It's
especially in your
just-
50s.
But once you're there, it's like you have fun and it's
no.
enjoyable.
Once I'm there, I'm like
it's not bad.
so happy that I went and I feel so much better and
Yeah.
so yeah.
But
And I just wanted to update. We had a lot of people comment on last week's episode about me eating the dog cookie. The dog.
Oh, did you?
The dog treats. Somebody had commented that I believe they said they make their own. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but I believe you said you made your own dog treats and it was like with tuna and something else. And I was like, okay, well, I can guarantee you that what I ate did not have tuna or
No.
anchovies or none of that stuff.
No, it was a bakery. It was legit bakery.
But I survived, and
Yeah.
you know, if there's any more in the kitchen,
Yeah.
I
Girl,
might grab
excuse
one
me?
on my way back for my ice cream later.
Savannah just said, forget it. I'm not buying cookies for the family anymore. I'm not buying cookies for the dogs because the family eats it.
I'll have to. Is she home right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's
I'll have
out
to
for
text
my niece's birthday.
I'll have to text her and ask her where she got
Yeah.
them so I could send her some. So
Probably not too far.
yeah.
So, no, she's funny.
So
But-
anyway, today we're gonna talk about a case that as wild as it sounds, I had never heard of. But in looking into it and then watching a documentary that Shannon had come across on Hulu called The Fox Hollow Murders, I think that it kind of sounded like the way they were talking about it is it's just a case that has not gotten a lot of
Notoriety. You know, it's not a lot of attention.
Not a lot of attention on this case.
No.
And why, I don't know, because it is wild.
The amount of bones that they found on this property, which was 9,900 bones. And I'm going to say we're not doing a deep dive into this one. So if you haven't watched the Fox Hollow Murders or you're not familiar with it, I would suggest you watch the documentary. We're going to try to touch on some pieces. We're going to fill you in, but probably not as thorough as you would probably like to be, because it's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
But I think it was kind of swept under the rug. Like, there's speculation that because it involves the LGBTQ community, that's the reason why it didn't get a lot of investigation into it. A lot of the police force kind of basically, you know, I'm going to give it away. The guy who they suspected did the murders killed himself.
Right.
So the minute he killed himself, it's sort of like, well, we don't need to spend money into this investigation anymore because we already know who did it.
Yeah, it kind of just solved itself.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's 9,900 bones out there. How many people, and they've only identified 13 so far. Yeah. So how many people have not been identified? And I mean, I don't know exactly how many posters of missing gay men were hung up in a bar, but
well, I mean, by the looks of the bars that they showed, it appeared to be quite a few. Like on a whole, it was just one after the other, after the other, after the other of just different missing men.
Yeah.
And
so this happened back in the 90s. So the early 90s.
In Indiana.
Yeah, in Indiana in the early 90s.
And I have to say, we do have our friend Karen that lives in Indianapolis, and I really need for you to go by Fox Hollow because I need some
still
pictures. I need to.
I think the property's still there. We
might need to take a trip out there because
it sounds really interesting. And they have, if you look on YouTube and stuff, when I tried to do some additional research on it, there's a lot of there's a lot of videos on it, but they're going through the supernatural. They want to about, there's hauntings there, or
I gotta say that was one part of the documentary that disappointed me.
That they didn't touch base into that part? That they did. Oh,
in the second episode, I believe.
Just a little bit,
yeah,
though.
I was like, we're not going to go down this path again, are we? Because I feel like that's just, and then it didn't. It turned around. Like
it did.
The next, there's 4 episodes, and I believe like maybe for the half of the second episode is when they call in, like a paranormal team. And we're not saying, I'm not saying anything bad about paranormal teams because Lord knows we've investigated with people or whatever. Yeah. I just feel like anytime that there are murders or something, people always want to go the paranormal route and they always want to get people sucked in that way. And I'm like, you know what? There are families out there that have missing family members. Can we focus on maybe, finding them and solving this instead of figuring out who's haunting this ranch? Like, who cares? Let's find these people for these families so they can get some closure.
Yeah. So back in Indianapolis, it wasn't very popular, back in the 90s to be gay. There was a lot of hatred. There was a lot of bias.
There's a lot of panic, I think.
There was a lot of panic because of the AIDS
epidemic.
Yeah, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And so these bars were kind of underground, hidden. They would go and they would mingle there. And a lot of people were undercover. So this guy, Herb Baumeister, he was actually married. He had kids. He had 3 children. And so he would go into these bars when his wife was out of town.
Yeah.
And he'd pick up on these men. And the story was that he would take them back to his horse ranch, the Fox Hollow Farms.
Yeah.
Huge sprawling estate.
It looks like
gorgeous,
beautiful property.
It's an upper class area of homes, and he would take them back and he would kill them. Well, how they got details in the story is from this one guy that went in voluntarily to get interviewed by the police, and his name was Mark Goodyear. And I'm going to tell you, I have never met a man that sent chills up my spine as quickly as this man did.
I texted Shannon and I was just like, it takes a lot to get me like there, like where I'm just very creeped out. And
yeah,
this man's voice, this man's laugh, just his every mannerism that he has is just the most creepiest thing you could imagine, and then multiply it by 100.
He's like very over the top.
He reminds me of from Natalia Grace, the adoptive dad.
Yes.
Like very dramatic and just, you know, I don't know.
But with the looks of the priest from Poltergeist, 2 or 3, I forget which one it was, but he's very, very scary.
Well, hello everybody. This is Mark Goodyear.
This guy's name is Mark Goodyear. And it's funny because he gives all these details about how he got lured down to this farm, and he claims he's the one who got away.
Yeah.
He's the one who didn't get murdered. Why didn't he get murdered? He escaped this man. Well, as he's talking over the years, I'm going to say, I don't know how soon, but I don't understand why this man is not arrested, because he contradicts himself in so many instances.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, at one point he just says, like, I flat out lied. He said that he only met him the one time.
Yeah, no.
And that he let him go. And then come to find out, he's had an ongoing 2-year relationship with Herb. So this was
a
lot more than just a one-night thing.
So how scared are you of him? Because he's claiming the first night he met him, he's completely terrified of Herb.
Who followed this, they think that you only spent one night total with Herb, but you had a relationship with him.
I don't want to describe that as a relationship.
Were you guys romantic?
We'll save that for another one as well. How about that?
But you saw him more than just that night.
One guy who claims he got lured, and when they showed him a picture of Herb Baumeister, they said, "Is this the guy?" And the guy looked down and he goes, "No, that's not him."
That's not him.
And he starts describing him, and he's describing Mark Goodyear as the guy who took him to this property. And that he was into erotic asphyxiation, right? Asphyxia,
yeah,
where you get choked out almost,
basically to the point of almost passing out and
during sex.
Yeah,
right?
And that was, I guess, his thing. They had in this home a pool that was an indoor pool, and he had this. I didn't understand the fascination with the mannequins.
I don't understand the fascination. And if I was Herb's wife, those mannequins would not be around my house.
Yeah, they had
so
like
creepy
full-size mannequins. Like,
well, okay, I might take that back. I got all these pirates.
Right, but no, it's
different.
Like, I don't know. I don't even want to say like they were
his friends.
No, I don't even want to say they're like mannequins from like a department store, because they were. There's one part, like they had like a bar part, and one was standing behind, like she was the bartender, and one was in front. It's almost like it was like a whole scenario was set up, like they were at like a party,
like his friends.
Yeah,
like they
and
were
like
his
some
friends.
were set around the pool, and it was just, I don't know. It was shot in like very dark, and I don't know. It just I didn't I didn't understand the fascination with the mannequins. I couldn't understand it, but it definitely was odd.
Yeah. Like if my husband started putting up mannequins around the house as if we're walking through and we're having
and
a
we're not talking
party.
1 or 2. We're talking
No.
like 15, 20 mannequins just
throughout the house.
randomly throughout your home, around your pool. And like I said, this pool is indoors. It's not an outdoor pool.
Yeah.
So you can see the pool from inside the home. Like, you know, it's just very strange. It was
a very weird
strange
setup. Yeah. So Goodyear, I just want to read a few things that Goodyear says that contradicts himself, because he's coming out like he's this victim and he can't believe that he's the one who got away, and he's just so grateful. But then on the other hand, he's so like, why did you spare me with this burden? But he just wanted the attention. He's going to the police, doing these interviews, and he's claiming this is the last interview. I don't like doing these interviews, but yet he's just a character. You need to watch these videos.
Yes.
What church would you go to find forgiveness for something like that? You spend the rest of your life on your hands and knees begging for forgiveness, wouldn't you?
They did ask Mark Goodyear, hey, how did you meet Herb Baumeister? And his story, at first it was just like, oh, we met in a club, but then he starts getting into details about how exactly he met. And he's claiming that he met him because he sees him staring at the wall of posters that's in the club. And he says that
Of
he
the
looks
missing
over
men.
all the missing men, the wall of posters of all the missing men in the club. And he looks over at him and he thinks, he's so insightful.
Yeah.
This Mark Goodyear.
Yeah. That's exactly how he talks. Like you're doing a very good interpretation of him. Like
Impression. Well, I can actually even cross my legs and be like, he was just so weird.
And then he gets, I need a cigarette. I need a cigarette. I need a cigarette. Like he starts to panic. Like, I can't talk about this. I can't talk about this.
He's just
like,
so dramatic.
Oh my God.
So
I'm
he's
telling you, the Natalia Grace dad just kept flashing before my face. Like, oh my God.
It was crazy.
All the dramatics.
And so he says he's watching him and he's looking at him, and it just dawns on him that he's more involved with these men than meets the eye kind of thing. And so he walks over to him and he's kind of strikes up a conversation with them about the men missing on the wall. And all these men are his friends. These are all my friends that are missing. But then he goes on to say, like, if you, I don't know about you, but if I saw somebody who I thought was killing people, and then he says, and so I pushed him out into the alleyway outside, and I got him and I shoved him outside, and then I proceed to get into his car and he takes me down to Fox Hollow.
Yeah.
Okay. I really believe
that's not something that you do if you're afraid of somebody, if you think that this person has been killing and murdering gay men and you are a gay man.
And you're driving in the car with him?
That would be the last thing I would do, is be getting in the car with him. Like, come on.
And he's saying, like, I really thought this was the guy. And then all of a sudden I'm in the car with him and I'm like, where's he going to take me? Mm-hmm. And then so he takes him to this Fox Hollow. And then he starts telling a story about how Herb, I keep saying Herb.
I know.
But Herb starts talking about how silk is stronger than steel.
Yeah.
And a silk scarf.
Talking about like rope and stuff like
and
that.
And a necktie around your throat. And then he realizes he's into this type of sex. But it's funny when Mark's talking about it, it's almost like he's getting a rise out of it.
Oh, of course.
Like he's getting turned on.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
It's such a weird interview. And so he says that when he went into the swimming pool room, he said that Herb came up behind him, threw a pool hose behind his neck, kind of tugged on it like a vacuum hose to clean it.
To clean the pool.
To clean the pool, and then he took it away. Okay, why are you still there, sir? Why are you not running out of this house?
Why didn't you throw him in the pool, drown him, and then dip out? Like,
no, but
you shouldn't even have been there.
But the funny thing is, he says, So I knew he was going to try to drug me. So you know what I did?
Mm-hmm.
I drugged him.
And I realized how, I gave him something.
Okay. So
you just carry that stuff with you because like you're just randomly going to be.
Okay. Right then and there, I said, he's the fucking serial killer.
Yeah.
It is not Herb. It is this man.
Yeah.
And maybe Herb did it with Mark Goodyear.
Well, the whole time in this whole documentary, all of the detectives and authorities and everybody that's worked on this case has made a point to say that they don't believe that Herb Baumeister acted alone, that he had to have had help at some point because this wooded area that they have found these almost 10,000 bones is in his backyard.
Yeah, it's in his yard,
Yeah.
like all over his yard
Is where they're finding, all
and
of
then
these
down
bones.
this creek where they just went, a creek that went behind his house. They went into this creek and just thousands,
They're still to this day-
9,900.
They're
and they
still
say,
finding bones.
yes, like bone fragments, and they said like you can tell that they tried to burn some of them.
Yeah.
Even
in the barbecue. They
in
tried
the
to burn
barbecue,
him in
yes.
the barbecue.
Even his son, that's why they don't believe, like the wife had to have known something was going on.
Yeah.
Because even the son at one point was playing out in the backyard and came back with a skull of a human head.
Yeah.
And the wife didn't call the cops.
They
And when-
actually found one complete skeleton.
Yeah.
In the backyard. Like fully
kids.
intact. One full complete intact skeleton in the backyard.
Yeah. And the son goes running with,
I mean, come on.
with the head. And you know what the wife does? She goes to her husband. She goes, don't worry about it. But we're not, like, made no big deal out of it because the son was with his friends. And the friend who was recounting the story was like, she was kind of like, it was no big deal. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't even bat an eye. But she claims when he came home, she confronted him about the skull, which I would be calling the cops saying my kid just found a human skull in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, should we call the cops? And he goes, no, don't call the cops. It's my father. He's a doctor and it's his skull. And some animals got into our garage and took some of his equipment, his doctor equipment. And the wife was like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, not a big deal. I'm not calling.
Yeah. Like, and then she comes forward with it years later and they're wondering why, but it's probably because everything was closing in on him.
Yeah.
So
Of
I don't
course,
know.
of course.
I kind of, I mean, I feel for the family if they had nothing involved, but it just, how
I 100% think that.
she suspected something.
Well, she had to, but I also feel like Mark Goodyear played a bigger part in this than earlier believed.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And there are comments where the family has made like they're afraid of Mark Goodyear. Herb actually called his lawyer during the time when the cops were gaining access to his property, and he knew that they were going to start finding the bones and the bodies.
Yeah.
When he escaped, he ends up escaping to Canada, and he ends up killing himself. He doesn't leave behind a note that admits he did anything. But earlier, when he was escaping to Canada, or when he got pulled over. Well, they found him sleeping in the car, and some cops approached him. They didn't know that because at this time he really wasn't wanted for anything, and they were wondering why, if they were searching his properties, finding these bones, did they let him leave?
Yeah.
And they didn't arrest him right then and then. Yeah, you got to watch this story. It's just, I don't understand why he was not behind bars. If cops came over here and found bones in my yard, please, I'm going to be arrested. Like, they're not going to wait to build a case. Like, literally, that's your case. You got human bones in your backyard.
Yeah.
Put me in jail until I can explain why there's human bones in my backyard.
Yeah.
But this guy escapes. The cops see it. They see these tapes in his car. He ends up killing himself. Well, when they search I don't know where they found him. Was it a motel? I don't know. To be honest, I'm not very clear on that.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where
they found. Yeah,
where he killed himself. But when they did go and they tried to retrieve all his stuff, all the tapes that they saw in his car when the cops pulled him over were all missing. Mm-hmm. They believe that him and his accomplice recorded these snuff films
Yeah.
of these men being killed. And there's some crazy stories. Like another guy came out and he said that he actually witnessed someone getting shot in front of him and they took off running.
Yeah.
And
it was
Mark,
they found a letter.
And Mark was there.
Yeah.
At the time.
And he witnessed it. And they questioned him about that in the documentary. They ask him. And of course, you know, he avoids answering the question.
And then he denies it.
Answer it.
Yeah.
He's saying that you were present for a murder.
Okay, what year is he talking about?
95.
I was never in this home with anybody in a coat or anything like that, a long coat, a slicker coat.
There's just so much questionable stuff that this Mark, his name was Leroy Bray, that came forward to the police that claimed that he had actually saw Goodyear, Baumeister, and some other men actually shoot some guy right in front of them. Herb had called his lawyer before he did this and just told him, I'm really scared for my family because I'm afraid of this guy named Mark Goodyear.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read some really creepy stuff that Mark says. So at one point, he actually gives a reporter a riddle that he says.
Yes. And it freaks her the fuck out.
Yeah, of course, because I think he's confessing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he says, I was never attacked. I am not a murderer. Exactly what am I? Tell me what I am. Not an accomplice, not a victim, never attacked. What am I? You're the killer.
The
I'm
serial
sorry.
killer.
You are the killer. That's what, yeah. And he claims, and everybody's asking him, like, why did you still see him? Like, he went back to him many times.
Yep.
He had access to his property.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and then when they were commenting too, because in this documentary they bring him into.
I gotta say, oh my gosh. Yes.
And he, you know, he takes his shoes off. He won't walk inside this house without his shoes on. And he feels very at home. You can tell.
Oh, in
this house.
I'm gonna read exactly what he says when he walks inside this house and he sits down. This is a home where possibly hundreds of people have been murdered. This is a home that you said you were terrified because he tried to kill you, that you didn't know what to do because you were just so scared. One minute he's saying how scared he was, and the next minute he's talking about how they're hanging out by the pool and, you know, he's drugging them. And he even says, like, I drugged him, and he's so excited that he drugged him and he got one up on me, over on him.
But he even said that Herb was excited to be drugged.
Yeah, like, but he goes, you think that, because they said, like, why didn't, you know, he was out, like, why didn't you run? He goes, well, you think he was out all night? Like, oh, what did he do when he woke up in the morning? He goes, in the morning?
Yeah.
Have you never been drugged before?
Yeah, it only lasts 40 minutes.
Thank you. But he's like so shocked that this reporter has never been drugged before. What do you mean you've never been drugged before? You must have never been drugged before.
Nobody ever roofied you?
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I knocked him out. You know, I drugged him. He really got a kick out of that when I knocked him out. It was like, oh, wow, you know, you're the rough stuff, you know, and all this crazy crap.
Did he say that the next morning?
No, he was only out for like 40 minutes. Okay? You've never been drugged, have you? It don't last. No, it only lasts like 40 minutes. And he was up. He was up. He was up, vivacious, awake, alert, wide-eyed. Wow, you know, you knocked my shit out.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. He says when he goes into the home, oh, this home feels so nice and comfortable. It just wraps itself around you.
Oh, this home feels so nice and comfortable. It just wraps itself around you.
How does a home where hundreds of people were murdered and you claim that you were scared to death? That is a serial killer going back to where he did his crimes and is proud and is showing it off to the investigators.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was giving a tour of his own home.
Of course. Yeah.
He was
the way
so
he acted, like he
proud.
was so comfortable in there.
Yeah.
And now, present day, somebody has purchased this home.
They live in this home.
A gentleman and his wife live in this home. And what I was kind of confused about was, you know, in the beginning when they found this property, this farm, whatever you want to call it, and somebody had told them, you know, like, do you know the history of this? And he was like, no, I don't. Told him the history, and he was like, okay, like, you know, I'm still interested. This, you know, whatever. I'm okay with this, him and his wife. And then he proceeds to say that how he thinks that people who like to buy these properties of where people have been murdered and stuff, he thinks that it's very interesting and kind of like, I'm not sure why people would do that or whatever, but then proceeds to purchase the property, live in it, and basically is the one who goes down this whole rabbit hole of trying to figure out
who all these people
and
are.
solve these murders.
And he's writing a book on it.
Yeah.
He's authoring a book on it.
So I'm like, hold on, like,
yeah,
is this weird to you or is it not weird to you? Or I think he says it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He thinks that those are interesting people.
But you are that person.
And so am I.
Yeah,
so.
no, I mean, but I'm thinking
I am that person.
He
But
is that person. So he also says, because this is a place where he claims he had a near-death experience with Herb, but you know, it's wrapping its arms around him. And then he says, let me ask you, what do you think? Am I the evil culprit, the accomplice? Before breaking into laughter. So he's like,
and when she says laughter, it's not like ha 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 ha. This man's laugh is what nightmares are made of.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what do you think? Am I the evil culprit, the accomplice? I'd like to know how the audience views me.
It is the most disturbing laugh that you could ever in your mind think of. The look on his face, like you could tell this man has been a smoker like 99% of his life, and he's just got that like death rattle. Like,
yeah,
it's just,
and then at the end,
very disturbing.
On the fourth one, he's walking towards one of his friends, and he's all, Vicky, they think I did it. They think I'm the murderer.
Yeah.
Don't they know that I'm too lazy? If they just knew, I'm just so lazy to even do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's the fucking murderer.
This is his confession, I believe.
I think he's getting it off his chest.
Yeah.
Like he's
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in all the investigators are saying this guy knows way too much to just know Baumeister.
Except the owner of the home. He doesn't believe that he did it.
No, well, that's just insane. Yeah. He was kind of like trying to.
He's like, no, I think maybe he's just like an odd dude or whatever. But
no, but I think it's because I really believe because in his book he only pointed to Baumeister, and if you're going to bring this other person in, what's his book worth now if it's not correct?
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
So he wants his story to align
with his beliefs.
With his book and his beliefs. He needs it, even though now you're starting to see this guy who, is possibly involved, but why do I want to throw that in there when my book says
something else?
Yeah. Doesn't even point to him. So, yeah. And Goodyear says he didn't attack me or anything. And he claims to have drugged Baumeister. So to me, and Baumeister's afraid of this guy and afraid what he's going to do to his family. So to me, I'm looking at Baumeister as the person.
I feel like he might have been a victim.
He might have been, manipulated, a victim. Yeah. And this guy's coming to his property, killing these men, and he doesn't know how to get out of it at this point. And that's why he killed himself. And that's why he didn't have a confession letter. Essentially, he's like, fuck, what's my family going to think? Like, I brought this gay man into my home when my family was out on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to have a good time.
I got drugged.
I got Looney Tooney over here, and now he killed some guys on my property, and he's probably saying, if you go to the cops, it's on your property, and I'm going to tell him it's you. And so now he's like, what the fuck? How am I going to get out of this? So he ends up just killing himself.
Yeah.
I because they're trying to make it seem like, okay, Baumeister, and maybe he got involved after. I don't know, but I just think this guy's the mastermind behind it all.
Absolutely.
It's just, yeah.
And how this case hasn't got more attention is beyond me.
Yeah. And Goodyear's saying, hey, I think Baumeister's trying to take me down. And I think that's what you did.
Yeah.
I think you literally got away with murder because Herb killed himself. And 100%. I think he didn't see how he could get out of it and how to keep his family safe if he did not do that and safe from Goodyear.
Yep.
Because he was terrified of him.
100%.
Yeah, but I would really like to know what other people think. And
if you guys haven't seen this, please go check this out. It's a hidden gem.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
It's just came out though, February, I believe,
2025.
So it's newer, but I don't know how it hasn't been out there more.
This is a scary part. Okay, we didn't even go through this, so we're gonna go back. I got to go back to this part. So Goodyear says, Baumeister starts stalking me.
Oh, yeah.
And he is stalking me, and I don't know what to do because he's stalking me. But you know what I did? I ended up stalking him.
Yeah.
Who stalks their stalker?
The man stalked me. Okay? When I left here after that first night, he dropped me off at my car. I immediately bolted to drive to my grandmother's home. He must have followed me because he shows up at my grandmother's home. This is like within a week. He was stalking me, and I realized that, because I had gave him my address after he showed up at my grandmother's home.
So he was coming to your grandmother's, so you gave him your address?
Yes. Gave him the address and gave him the other phone number to get him out of her home. So he started coming over to my house at that time.
How often would you see him?
Oh, spontaneously. Things were getting real bad, I guess, in the marriage. He would show up upset about things like that. He was stalking me. I turned around and started stalking him.
Exactly.
Without going to the cops. You think this guy's already murdering people. He's the murderer.
Yep.
You claim you got away barely with your life. The only time he came forward to the cops is when they started finding the bodies. So now he's inserting himself into the investigation. It just blows my mind. Like, just everything that they say a serial killer or somebody who has
and he's just
part
out
in
roaming the planet.
He's out there still. Yeah. But everything that they say to look for in a killer, like,
is him.
They're going to insert themselves into the investigation. That's him. He came to them with information. They weren't even looking at him or asking, but he came to them with all this gem of information. And they're just like, the cops are just so happy that he's able to tell them how he did it. How do you know how he did it if you were not there?
Yep.
But he turns around and says, I was stalking him.
Yeah.
Everything we know about this case comes from you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely what?
Everything you know about this case comes from me. You just said that. I agreed with you by saying the word absolutely. Where are you confused? Okay. I'm sorry. When I say absolutely, I mean yes. Everything that you know about this case comes from me. I realize that. I'm aware of that.
So he claims, because people are saying like, oh, you set up Baumeister because you went to the cops. Do you think he was upset? He actually even claims that the day that they were looking at his property, Baumeister was at his house watching it on the news when they were digging up the bones from his property. So this guy is just claiming Baumeister's around him all the time.
Yep.
Is that probably his hostage? I don't know.
Probably.
It's just crazy. And then they ask him, do you think Herb killed himself, Baumeister? Do you think he killed himself? And he goes, I don't think he could have killed himself. His fat little sausage fingers couldn't even put his finger around a trigger.
Yep.
Take me down with him. But guess what? He's fucking dead, ain't he? Did he kill himself? We'll save that for another damn show. How about that? I'm not trying to do 25, okay? Yes. I can tell you at the end of his life, his fingers were round and swollen as sausages. There's no way he could have pulled that trigger.
So how many, I'm just like, this man killed Herb. Herb didn't kill himself. Herb got murdered by this guy, and he set him up to take the fall for all his murders.
Yep.
He is probably like one of the smartest serial killers out there.
Well, I mean, and the fact that he's just out there.
Yeah. Just
like,
living his life.
Karen, please be careful. Don't run into Mark Goodyear at the grocery store.
Karen, need to be careful over there in
worried.
Indianapolis.
Oh.
Yeah. But he says, I never set anybody up. I certainly hope and pray that during his stalking of me, like if I was sharing company with somebody or maybe dancing with somebody or something like that, I wouldn't have noticed if that person disappeared or not. I often prayed that I hadn't made him jealous that he would go after the person I was showing attention to.
Oh, dear God.
He makes it all about him. Oh, he must have been killing these men because they were paying attention to me. I was dancing with them at the club, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. Oh, is that how you're explaining that you were the last person? People saw that person who went missing. You were the last person they saw them with. Yeah, thank you. Oh no, it's because Herb saw me dance with him, and so now he disappeared. Oh my gosh, I think we solved this case. I don't even understand why it's
done deal.
Thank you. We've gotten
welcome.
good at this
You're welcome.
crime stuff.
50 States of Madness solves their first case.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Because after I watched that documentary, I just thought, how come he hasn't been arrested yet? Like, especially after this documentary being aired, like this kind of just, I mean, if you can't read between the lines.
Yeah.
I mean.
And I think that right now there is a officer on, and he's a coroner who feels really, you can tell he feels really, really bad.
He's very invested in this case.
The way these victims were treated because they were gay men. He feels like it didn't get the attention it deserved. And he really wants to find all the identities of all these people who were on this property. So he is actually asking people, if you know anybody or you're related to anybody who is a missing person and that case has not been solved, to please turn in your DNA.
Yeah, because that's basically what they're doing. Is this coroner is collecting DNA samples or trying to collect DNA samples from these missing people's families, so they can somehow try to connect these bones that have been found in this backyard, this farm, whatever you want to call it, to somebody. And so they can start to identify who these bones belong to.
He wanted the investigation to be reopened because he wants them to arrest Goodyear. He wants them to build a case against Goodyear, because they closed the book so fast on it, because when Baumeister killed himself, they said, oh, done deal. And an ex-councilman actually wrote to him a letter and said, why do you want to spend the county's money on solving these crimes? Like, basically saying, like, you're going to spend money to open up this case for what?
So disappointing.
Well, maybe because there was 10,000 bones found, and we have 208 bones in our body. Well, 10,000 bone fragments. So I'm going to say, like, so if some of the bones were shattered, so maybe not as many people, because I was going to go 208 into 10,000. How many people is that? But, there's fragments of bones. But
it doesn't matter even the amount. It's just the fact that people have gone missing. There's unidentified victims, obviously, in this backyard. Why would we not try to get answers for these families that have missing, family members unidentified.
Missing loved ones out
Why?
there.
Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't make any sense why we would not try to solve that.
And they said that they have in that coroner's office, they have, this is exactly what they say, to put it into perspective. This is the second largest number of unidentified human remains in the country. It is second to the World Trade Center.
Yeah, that kind of puts it into perspective.
How many bones?
How much is in that backyard?
And World Trade Center, if I'm not mistaken, we lost over 3,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. So that just goes to show you how many people, hundreds if not thousands of people,
are buried on that property.
Are on that property.
Yeah. So
and that it's such a shame.
So they are definitely wanting to reach out to people. They want to get you in the database to try to match these remains to family members.
If you lived in Indiana in the 90s, and even if you don't know, if you had a relative or something, just go give your DNA.
Yeah,
because you don't know. It could be somebody far off in your ancestry that you don't know. Like, I don't know.
But at least they can make a connection.
Exactly. I would just go give my DNA just because.
Yeah. And they didn't only find bones. They found handcuffs, shotgun shells.
Yeah. There was so much stuff found there.
So much stuff found there for these bodies. So these men did not go quickly. No. I believe they were tortured.
Yes.
And it's a really, really sad story. And I just recommend, watching the documentary and getting familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
there are a bunch of details that we, didn't go into and any of that, but it's done very, very well.
Yeah.
It really, really is. I highly suggest that you guys check it out. And I think too, he's very confident that he's not going to get caught. And so I feel like he's really playing it up a lot, the creep factor.
He's very cocky.
Yeah. Like, I feel like he's playing it up quite a bit because, the ego's getting up there now. And
he's like, oh, it's been 30 years. I'm not getting caught.
Yeah.
So, so in the 90s, yeah, it's been over 30 years.
I don't know. Look at Rex Hewerman, guys. It happens.
Yeah.
The Long Island serial killer. It happens.
Yeah.
Don't get too cocky, bud. Yeah. So thank you for joining us for another week.
Yes.
Thank you to our Patreons. Thank you to everybody who's commenting. We do try to get back to everybody that comments. I do want to shout out to Uncle Creepy. He lost his dog last month. So
do you want me to make a felty, Mr. Creepy? Send me a picture. I'll make a felty, a little memorial felty. I'll try my best.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Send us a pic.
Yeah. And so
I'm really sorry.
We're going to be recording with Dan for our Patreon next week. So hopefully we'll have that up for you guys. We will be back next week with something else.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.